Queen Mary has been located after a 4.5-hour search. Many other famous ships of all kinds cooperate in these important coastal command exercises. By pre-arrangement, ship is to locate the ship and shadow her for an hour at extreme radar range. Diving to 700 feet, the flying boat exchanges recognition signals. A mission almost identical with this brought the German battleship Bismarck to her doom in the Atlantic during World War II and of her bid to escape.
White Star Line. And now at last her nose is pointing westwards, and slowly she moves forward to bid goodbye to her birthplace, with planes roaring overhead and sirens sounding, and close on 1 million people lining the route. And meanwhile the Pathé cameramen risk sudden death, climbing to the dizzy tops of great cranes to get the pictures of this historic journey of the largest vessel that has and probably ever will steam down the Clyde. And from above, more cameramen are looking down on the 1,018-foot length of this wonder ship of the British Merchant Service. Round the Dalmuir bend, speed is reduced to less than walking pace, and the tugs, like tiny smoke-puffing gnats, push and pull the 80,000-ton hull into position. The Scottish countryside, from the Queen Mary's towering height,
Britain's greatest liner steamed into New York at the end of her first Atlantic crossing without the blue ribbon, and yet she might justly claim a moral victory. Her summer route took her 100 miles farther than the Normandy's record course, and fog delayed her for 11 hours. Nevertheless, New York gave a frenzied welcome to Britain's Queen of the Seas. Aeroplanes roared overhead. A fleet of small craft packed with sightseers buzzed around the huge liner as she proceeded majestically into quarantine. The crossing from Cherbourg, 3,158 miles, had been completed in 4 days, 12 hours, 24 minutes, at an average speed of 29.13 knots, and listen to the roar of welcome. The disappointment over the record, New York went crazy on the arrival of Britain's wonder ship. Skyscrapers, streets on the waterfront, vacant plots of ground, making a holiday to welcome the Queen Mary. By day until held up by fog. And here
Southampton comes news of the
the owner of that proud voice. The Queen Mary was on her way home from New York for the last time. It was a voyage that all those fortunate enough to make will never forget. Days and nights of farewell parties, pattern set by her, she made for Southampton, peacefully for port, bringing her to the welcome she so rightly deserved. The tugs fussed around the grand old ship, as this time it was different, because this was her 1,001st Atlantic crossing. Gently, she came alongside the quay, which throughout her career, shore and aboard, felt for her. She won then a well-earned retirement. The Atlantic reign of a queen had come.
Berthed in Southampton's busy docks, Britain's greyhound of the Atlantic, the giant liner Queen Mary.
For a great city, it was farewell to a great ocean liner. Atlantic travelers said there had never been a ship to equal the Queen Mary. Her own sister ship was slightly... For the heroine, presented to Captain Treasure Jones a bronze medallion and commemorative...
New York, the Queen Mary had to anchor for 2 days off the Isle of Wight.
It was it. The day had at last come when the Queen Mary was leaving home for good. The old lady of the Atlantic was being ready to set sail for a new berth on the other side of the world. From the people of the land of...
It's the end of a routine transatlantic run for the Queen Mary coming into Southampton dock. But this particular journey's end is not as in 48 hours. Trouble started when the great Cunarder began to lose some of her speed. So they asked the marine engineers what was wrong.
81,000 tons of luxury liner came racing across the ocean from America to beat the Normandy's world record by 1 hour, 14 minutes. The record for the outward trip had already been gained by the Queen Mary. Thus she is truly Queen of the Atlantic. It was stated that the newsreels were prevented from securing an interview with the captain, but Gaumont British News now gives you an interview with the captain, Commodore Irving. The time from the Ambrose Light was 4 days, 15 hours, 15 minutes. Southampton turned out to give a great welcome to the mistress of the seas, and aeroplanes buzzed round her packed decks as she drew slowly in once more, back to Britain.
The liner had been hit by a squall after picking up passengers at Cherbourg, and after getting cleared of the sandbank, she returned to Southampton, steaming at speed despite damage below the waterline. Britain's First Lady of the Seas. Welcoming eyes watch the huge grey shape as she moves across Southampton water to the ocean dock from which she had been absent for so long. The Queen Mary is still very much on active service and will continue her work of transporting thousands of American troops across the Atlantic.
After negotiating the difficult bends of the River Clyde, the Queen Mary found herself in open water before entering the world's largest graving dock at Southampton. Her pilot this time is Captain Bowyer, and once again the pilot's task is one calling for supreme judgment and skill. The King George V dock was, but the huge width of the Queen Mary gives only a few feet of lateral clearance. The great liner swung round as the little tug strained and pushed her into position. All Southampton, as well as hundreds from other parts of the country, had turned out to watch this intricate operation. Inch by inch, the Queen Mary moved into the graving dock, guided by hands that pulled upon massive ropes and hawsers, until at last she came into position for the emptying of the dock and examination of the hull. Slow though it seemed, took only 25 Normandy's record course, and fog delayed her for 11 hours. Nevertheless, New York gave a frenzied welcome to Britain's Queen of the Seas. Aeroplanes roared overhead. A fleet of small craft packed with sightseers buzzed around the huge liner as she proceeded majestically into quarantine.